Building collisions kill hundreds of millions of birds each year in the United States. In Taiwan, the issue has often been overlooked. Is it just as much of a problem in Taiwan? Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can learn all about the animal kingdom and become smarter than all of your friends. What better way to spend your commute or downtime? Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about animals. Over 600 species of birds live in Taiwan, around 30 of which are endemic species. According to estimates published in the journal The Condor in 2014, building collisions kill hundreds of millions of birds each year in the United States and reduce the total number of birds by 2 to 9%. In Taiwan, the issue has often been overlooked. Is it just as much of a problem in Taiwan? Today, we have a very special guest, Ginny Hsieh, who has dedicated her research to finding out more about this issue and providing potential solutions. We are honored to have her here today to share her findings and tell us what we need to know or do.
Hello, everyone. This is Ginny speaking. I'm a student still studying master's degree in the National Taiwan University of the Institute of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology. I hate saying the full word. Yeah.
It's definitely a mouthful. Could you please start us off by telling us what your research is about?
My research is mainly focused on finding out the patterns of bird-window collisions of what's going on here in Taiwan. What are the most common birds that are falling victim to bird-window collisions, and what can we do to protect them?
How long have you been researching this?
It took me about 3 years. Yes,
Wow.
now nearly toward the 4th year.
So you're going into the 4th year?
Yes.
Okay. And what have been your research findings?
It's quite surprising is that beforehand we thought bird-window collision is not a big problem. But then we find that from our citizen science, or you can say it as community science project, we can have like to 4,000 to 5,000 cases reported to our platform on an average of nearly like from the past year's record, 2023, we have 800 cases reported to our platforms. And we found that the most common colliding birds is not that we thought about the sparrows or the baubles that are really common around, but barbets being the top one. And then we even have a goshawk being the number 3 colliders. And we even have kingfishers as 4th.
Oh.
These are birds that are not as like the most top one that comes to head when it comes to what are the birds colliding on windows.
And why would people have the other birds in mind when they think of window collisions?
I guess it's like you're kind of thinking that it's a topic of chance.
Right.
Yeah, and the higher the population is, the higher chance it's going to bump onto windows. But this is not the case.
And why is that?
We have no idea. We just kind of think that some birds' behavior or there have to be something to what they are deciding, the decision-making process when they are flying around, and just happens. Some birds are more vulnerable to windows.
If we're talking about sparrows and pigeons, I would assume that maybe they're more adapted to live in urban settings because they've been around in urban settings for so long.
Perhaps, because now the birds that we have been listed as the most vulnerable, they are the newcomers. We don't say they are not urban birds, but they just recently moved to our cities and live around us for the past 20 to 30 years.
How does it look like with, for example, the more native species versus foreign species?
Now it's more like it's mixed up.
Okay.
Like we have Taiwan barbet that is not only a native but an endemic species that is being the top collider.
Oh.
Yeah, but we also have like introduced species or invasive species like the Asian glossary starry.
Were there any hiccups or unexpected challenges that you had while researching this?
Just as I've mentioned before that we decided to do this project by citizen science or community science. And beforehand, when we are looking through the papers and references of bird-window collision studies, the most mentioned things actually they said that we should do it by carcass search. So that means we have people going out and we try to find carcass around and they will be the evidence of bird-window collisions. But then we soon find out that here in Taiwan, we're not sure is it about the climate that is more humid here, is hotter here, or it's just because that we have like more hardworking janitors the bird carcass. Every time that we have a phone call in, there's a bird somewhere. Within half an hour, and even in most 5 minutes, we get to the point, nothing is there.
What?
Yeah.
Where do they go?
We're not sure. Like, it may be in the garbage pail. It may be like once I have the witness that a cat got it.
Oh.
Yeah, so the feral cats and dogs, they might get it or in the garbage pail, or like some people might just like feel pity about them and they'll just decided to bury them. And for us, that is not a good thing because we don't have the evidence for it.
Yeah. And that's very quick, within 30 minutes.
Yes, things just disappeared.
How did you end up mitigating that issue?
So then we decided we will work through Facebook, because here Taiwanese people, no matter are you a Taiwanese or are you a foreigner, I think people in Taiwan kind of get used to photograph everything you encounter.
Yeah.
So even though you decided to throw it away or decided to bury it up, you will have a photo somewhere. And then you might send it to Facebook, to social media, and then that can be an evidence of a birdhorn collision happening somewhere.
Okay, so then did you look for keywords?
Yeah, sure.
On Facebook?
Sure.
Oh my gosh, sounds challenging.
Yeah, so we also have to, like, we said, like, our project is like trying to fight with the Facebook's all those kind of words popping up and jargoning. Yeah, and so like we are trying to guess how people would describe birdhorn collisions. Some people will describe it like more on a usual way, like a bird hit my window or I heard a loud thud. This is like a more common one, but then we also have times that we are using keywords like a stupid bird trying to suicide around my home.
Oh, that's so sad. And then once you find the posts that are relevant, do you then message the original poster?
It depends on the time period. So if it's like really long past history, like for example, it has been 10 years passed by, then we won't do anything. We just directly take the data. But we will share it to the to a group, a public group named Reports on Birdhorn Collisions. So then people will know that at least 10 years before, at some places, this thing has been happening before. But if it's like in a recent year, within 3 years, we will decide that, well, so the posters or he or she's friend might be still looking at the post. So we will try to message them either to get more information, like what did you encounter and do you describe it, what's these sceneries, or we will try to confirm them that so the bird isn't trying to commit suicide, or like this is not a stupid bird, but it's just it's a tragedy that a tragedy that you can stop.
I remember from the day that I saw your booth at the animal conservation event, you had a map of Taiwan, and you mentioned to me that overseas this is maybe a more well-researched topic, and in Taiwan you didn't, I guess maybe some people originally didn't think it was that much of a problem, and then your map sort of showed that where there are people, there are collisions.
Yes.
Could you go more into that?
For the past 50 to 60 years, nearly half a century, the Birdhorn Collision Research Center is centered around the 5 Great Lakes. So that is around the U.S., New York, Chicago, Canada, that places. But then people don't often discuss or look at what is happening in Asian countries. And just recently, when we start our project at Singapore, Philippines, Taiwan, Korea, we all decided to try to look into this problem. And as we look into it, we kind of remapped what birdhorn collision is like. And then we try to find out that here in Asian countries, things like birdhorn collisions, the occurring locations are kind of like corresponding with where human populations are. So it's not like what the North American study says, that it has more relationship with times, like which month it is or whether the birds are flying past your cities.
Oh, so there is a relationship with the time of year?
Yeah, so like in the U.S. studies, they kind of say that the birdhorn collisions, there's a peak in autumn, that is right now. So now if you look on Facebook and you type in birdhorn collision, you will see like a lot of organisms coming out and trying to tell people that, oh, birdhorn collision is coming. Turn off your lights, a bird is passing around your house. Try to prevent it from climbing to your window. And if you find one, what should you do?
Is that because migration?
Yeah, surely.
Okay. Yeah.
Like in North America, they all say that the most vulnerable ones are the migrants. Those that are migrants through, they might be unfamiliar to your cities, or just something happens to them and they decided to come by your cities and then things just happen. But this is not the case here, as we found that more residential birds are colliding than migrants.
In the U.S., we have very distinct seasons that also get very, very cold in the winter, which creates a need for migratory birds, right? For birds to migrate to other climates. And it happens over the whole North and South American landmass, basically. But in Taiwan, I guess I'm not as familiar with this. And I would think because it's a more temperate climate year-round, so there might be less of a need for, I guess, migratory birds in general.
It's like it's not the true reason behind, but it's like because we are like in the subtropics, so the climate is truly more moderate for things to live around, but we still have like the northern latitude and like southern latitude. So actually Taiwan is a relay station for the migratory birds. I think as a relay station, the birds are more like shorebirds. So they might choose a road that is more closely to the beaches, to the wetlands, where people are not that dominated there. So there might be an explanation for why we don't see as much migratory birds colliding on windows compared to residential ones.
Yeah. For the birds that do migrate, then they're migrating internationally?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like this is actually the largest migratory flyway. Like you just mentioned the North American, South American flyway.
Yeah.
The one here where Taiwan is in is called the East Asian-Australasian Flyway.
Okay.
So this connects all the way from Australia, New Zealand as the southern point to the northern point in Russia.
Ooh.
So this is the longest and the largest pathway.
Oh, even larger than North and South America. Wow. Okay.
You just think like how many countries should pass through this pathway.
Back to your research. Did you encounter, I guess, any unexpected results? Was there anything surprising? And if so, what was it and why?
There's a lot of unexpected things, I would say, because before we know nothing about vernal collisions. So then the first thing, of course, is like what I just mentioned. We have no time patterns and no space-time patterns. It's just like things happen year-round. This is one thing. But the another thing that is more interesting is that because we are doing community science, we can see how people interact with vernal collisions. And we kind of find that people here in Taiwan some people take it as a joke, some people take it seriously, but even people that take it seriously doesn't have the correct idea of how should we deal with vernal collisions. So we kind of see people trying to do CPR.
Oh.
They try to call ambulance. They phone the police.
Oh.
It's just causing a lot of chaos. People should, like, if they do encounter a bird that is fallen because of collision or you suspect of collisions, the best way to do is just find a cardboard box and you just settle the bird in and let the bird rest. And it might take flight again, or if you have spare time, you have enough time, you can choose to send the bird with the cardboard box together to a rescue or rehabilitation center. So then a vet in professions of wildlife care could give it a double check before releasing it.
Okay, yeah, that seems in line with what I've heard in the U.S. too. We've always been told if you suspect that the bird has some kind of like head trauma, to put it in a dark room in a cardboard box and just leave it alone, let it sit in silence for a while.
Yeah, don't try to do anything that is
CPR.
Too much. CPR is like the most common way they try to do that is wrong. But we also see cases where people are trying to put perfume.
What?
Yeah, they saw like perfume can wake it up.
Oh.
Or they try to take it to a bath, and because they suspected that the bird collided with the window because it's too hot.
Oh.
Yeah, people have a lot of imaginations on things, what is going on, but they didn't have the correct path to what should they do actually.
Yeah, good intentions, but not quite the right way to handle it. What made you want to start researching this?
I get into the vernal collision issue because I work in a museum. And it's because like once we decided we will look through our refrigerator, our freezer, and see like catalog them and see what's the reason why they come to the museum, why they fall to death. And then we look through them. There's about 94% to 96% written as something close to vernal collisions. Though they didn't directly say vernal collision. They said they found the bird near the campus, near a building, near like in a garden or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so then this leaves a questions in my heart. And then soon after, when I did this cataloging, I have some classmates phoning in says that they have this case of a bird colliding on their classrooms. And then there's a video recording. Do I want to see it? So then it's that time I finally know that, wow, birds truly they collide on windows without stopping. And it's like in this case where I know the vet who is working in the raptor research group of Taiwan. And she comes here and she shares more knowledge on bird collisions. And we both decided that to look through this issue more deeper, because as we discussed, we kind of find that though we have the knowledge from North American studies, but these studies are not the suitable ones for Taiwan's case. But we don't know at that time like how suitable or how unsuitable it will be. And now we know that almost everything is not fitting.
Is not fitting?
Yeah, almost everything is not fitting.
What do you mean by not fitting?
Using like some mitigation ways, for example, using UV patterns or like the raptor decals. These are all like wrong process we just found. And like, who are the common colliders? Who are the vulnerable ones? What should you do when you encounter colliding birds? All those kind of things. Things are different here.
Even the solutions that were provided,
yeah,
we're not
as suitable here, because people have this dilemma when they put on mitigation. We will probably come to mitigation process later. But then the most common one is to put something on your window, so then the window or the glass stands out from the environment. And then people might think that they don't want to have things on their window, so they decided to choose UV patterns, which is not visible to human eye, but they suspect it visible to bird eye. But then this is actually, I would say, not totally fully correct, 100% correct. The bird is actually a whole class.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're saying like all birds have good sight, it's like saying all mammals have good sight. But we know that human compared to a monkey, compared to a pangolin, we are not going to have all the same sensitive to all kinds of life ways. Right. The same in birds. So the most sensitive one to UV will be the passerines, but like doves, barbets, raptors, these are known as non-sensitive ones. So then come to our case when we have this research finding out who are the common colliders. In other words, that means we shouldn't choose this kind of UV patterns as a useful mitigation method, because they are not going to be sensitive to this kind of patterns.
What are the mitigations, the proposed solutions?
The solution is quite easy, because now we know that birds collide to window because they have no idea what window is. But then all animals have an idea what their body size is. So what we do is we put things on the glass, like about 2 inches times 4 inches, or even smaller, 2 inches times 2 inches. So the bird will kind of suspect that, oh, so there's something blocking my way, though I wanted to get into the road inside the glass that is really like enthusiastic. I want to get in there, but I can't. Then it will decide to turn around, which will protect its life.
Your exhibit, I guess you had Yoyoka, which is the easy card, but I guess if you're an international listener, you'd be more familiar with, I think, a credit card.
Yeah, credit card, any kind of card.
And you said that's because...
Yeah, the smallest bird in Taiwan, which you can find around urban city, is the swinghorse white-eye. And even the space it needs to pass through is larger than an easy card or a card size. So if you put the dots or you put things on the windows to make the space smaller than an easy card, that means it couldn't pass through. And so logically, it wouldn't come by, and then, whoop, you have a safe window.
A safe window. And you had a visual up, too, of what that would look like. So if you put multiple, I guess, credit cards, together, and you put dots in between them, just at all 4 corners, that's what it would look like. And then when it's on a large surface, like a large window from ceiling to floor, it just looks like a few dots, and it doesn't block the view.
It wouldn't really interrupt your view, but it's just like something looking different from before. But it's like we said, if you are going to be eco-friendly, you should get something.
And it's an easy thing to do because you don't need special glass. And you can do it at any time, really. Yeah. If you realize that you built a whole building full of these beautiful, gorgeous floor-to-ceiling windows, and you realize that you forgot to factor this in, you could still put just little stickers.
Yes, it's never too late to put little stickers.
If you have anything to share as a listener, you can email that to tristan@rti.org.tw. Making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. It's not gross, it's cute. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.